Hello, wealth tycoons! In the 1960s, big dreams were going around the world. Countries were eager to show off their strength after World War II, and not just with arms. They also wanted to show off their technology. We were moving into space, but the sky was still open for business. France and Britain had been rivals for a long time, but this time they decided to do something different. They chose to work together. It wasn't just a deal made over the phone. They made a deal in 1962 to work together and build the first fast passenger jet and named it Concorde, which in French means agreement or harmony. Trop bien, no one had ever built an airplane before that could go faster than sound. The British Aircraft Corporation and Aerospace in France had to start from scratch to figure it out. These two groups of people, who speak different languages, use different tools, and follow different rules, are all trying to figure out the same big problem. They fought over small things, like whether the fuel gauges on the plane should show liters or gallons. They fought, but they kept going because the dream was more important than the fights. It was very hard to get money. It cost more than 1.3 billion pounds, which is around $20 billion today. Some people said it was a waste because governments paid for most of it. The US and the Soviet Union were showing off their power with weapons and spies during the Cold War. France and Britain wanted to show that they were still the leaders in new ideas. With the Tupolev Tu-144, which took off first in 1968, the Soviets beat them to the finish line. They were in a hurry though, and their plane was called Concordski as a joke. The US also tried with the Boeing 2707, but gave up because it was too expensive and people didn't like the noise. It wasn't just speed that was fast, it was making an airplane that could handle speed. The air around something that moves faster than sound gets crushed, which makes shock waves and heat. The engineers had to make wings that could work at both slow and very fast speeds. For years, they tried models in wind tunnels, making small changes to the shapes millimeter by millimeter. As it got warmer, the body had to stretch and shrink without breaking. To keep the plane cool, even the paint had to bend light back into space. Like a high-end watch, every part was made by hand. 20 Concordes were ever made, and putting them together took years for each one. Even after such struggles, France and Britain stuck with it, partly because of politics and partly pride. Both countries' leaders saw Concorde as a sign of pride in their countries. People cheered like it was a rock star when the first prototype came out in 1967. With its sharp nose and thin body, the plane looked like it was from another time. When test pilots put their lives at risk to push the limits, they were seen as heroes. Concorde finally took off in 1969, and by 1976 it was carrying people. It felt like the future had come for a moment. Not everyone was happy with this invention. Airlines were hesitant to buy Concordes. Because of its high cost, they were very loud and couldn't fly over land because of sonic booms, which were like thunderclaps and scared people and broke windows. They were only used by British Airways and Air France, mostly for fancy flights across the Atlantic. A white elephant is a beautiful toy that doesn't serve any purpose. Still, Concorde was a work of art for the builders and pilots who built it. Concorde was a brilliant mix of science and art. It's like making a car that can go to the moon and back. They had to figure out ways to fix issues that no one had ever seen before. Let me take a break and inform you that we have created an ebook for the top 100 businesses that you can start this year, and we will give away this ebook for free. Just comment on our video and I will share the link to download it. Let's get back to the video. To begin with, the shape. Concorde had wings that swept back in sharp triangle shapes, making it look like a thin, pointy dart. These delta wings were more than just pretty. They helped the plane stay stable when it was moving slowly, like when it was taking off or landing. But when Concorde flew faster than sound, the wings worked like magic. Drag is the force that tries to slow things down. They cut through the air easily, which cut down on drag. Concorde would have broken up or burned too much fuel without this design. The nose came next. The long, pointy nose of the Concorde made it hard for the pilots to see the runway when they were landing. A nose that could hang down like the head of a sleepy bird. It leaned forward during takeoff and landing. It straightened up once it was in the air. making the plane smooth and good at moving air. This wasn't just a cool trick, it kept Concorde safe and helped it go quickly. The engines were really big. There are 4 of them, and each one is as strong as a rocket. Rolls-Royce and a French company called Snecma worked together to make them. The plane's engines did more than just move it. They were hungry for fuel. Afterburners, which were extra bursts of fire that shot out behind the engines like a dragon's breath, helped Concorde reach Mach 2. The roar was so loud it hurt. Some people who live near airports complained about the noise, but for riders it was like riding a lightning bolt. The heat was very bad. When you fly at twice the speed of sound, you rub against the air, and contact makes heat. Up to 260 degrees Fahrenheit would rise in the nose and wings of the Concorde, making the metal so hot that it would stretch in the air. The plane got almost 10 inches longer. They used a special kind of aluminum metal to deal with the heat, but the walls of the cabin still felt warm to the touch. People on the train would sometimes joke that they could fry an egg on the windows. Another big deal was the altitude. Concorde flew at 60,000 feet, which is so high that the sky looked black and you could see the Earth's curve. Most planes fly at about 35,000 feet. One bad thing about the thin air was that if a window broke, everyone would die right away. Concorde had very strong windows and a sealed cabin to keep the air inside feeling normal so that people could stay alive. Hey, are you enjoying watching the video? Are you having fun learning about this ancient, super smart airplane? If yes, you can tell by giving this video a like. Your one like can motivate us to keep bringing you such well-researched videos. Back to the topic. Fuel was also a pain. The Concorde used 25 tons of fuel just to go faster than sound. To save weight, engineers used small seats, thin rugs, and even lighter paint to make the plane lighter, moving the fuel around while the plane is in the air. The plane's center of gravity moved as it sped up. To keep the plane balanced, pumps would quietly move fuel between tanks. The tires were even unique. Over 230 miles per hour is too fast for most plane tires to handle. Yes, tires. They could land at 250 miles per hour and were filled with gas to keep them from blowing up in the heat. It cost $10,000 to change each tire. After years of testing, Concorde finally let people fly on it in January 1976. The only companies brave enough to run it were British Airways and Air France. London to Bahrain and Paris to Rio de Janeiro were the first business flights. But the real star route was the quick hop from London or Paris to New York. This turned into Concorde's main source of income. The flight took around 3.5 hours. Just to give you an idea, a normal plane ride today lasts about 7 hours. Flying Concorde was not like flying any other plane. There were only 4 seats in each row, with 2 on each side of the aisle. There was no such thing as first class because every spot was first class. There was lobster, caviar, and old wines on the menus. The flight staff wore designer clothes, but the speed was what really got me excited. On a computer screen, passengers could see the Mach numbers going up past 1 and then 2. Through the window, the sky changed to blue, and the Earth's curve could be seen below. Queen Elizabeth II, David Bowie, and even the Queen herself have flown on Concorde, and they loved it. It turned into a moving VIP club for famous and wealthy people. But Concorde had certain flaws. People who live near airports spoke out against the noise level of the plane's takeoff. Some towns, like New York, at first banned it because they were worried about the noise. To keep the peace, pilots would slightly slow down the engines after takeoff. Concorde could only fly above the sound barrier over the ocean because of the sonic boom, a loud double bang that happens when the sound barrier is broken. This is why it mostly stuck to lines that went across the Atlantic. It flew slower than sound over land, which was not what it was meant to do. Even so, tickets were sold out months ahead of time. For many, the $12,000 price tag was worth it just to be able to talk about it. Environmentalists also didn't like Concorde. Scientists started to worry about the ozone layer in the 1970s. The ozone layer is a shield that protects Earth from the sun's rays. Nitrogen oxides are chemicals that hurt the ozone that came out of Concorde's engines. Some people didn't like it and called it a flying pollutant. Airlines said that one Concorde did less damage than thousands of cars, but the bad name stuck. By the 1990s, climate change was a problem all over the world, and Concorde's engines looked even worse because they used so much fuel. Then July 25th, 2000 came. A tire was torn when an Air France Concorde taking off from Paris hit a piece of metal on the runway. The fuel tank caught fire when pieces of rubber flew into it. The plane, which was full of people going to New York, had a hard time getting higher. After only 2 minutes of flight, it crashed into a hotel. No one died in Concorde's crash, but it made the whole world shake. Engineers had to rebuild the fuel tanks and add bulletproof tires, which stopped flights for more than a year. Things were different when Concorde came back in 2001. People were scared when the 9/11 attacks happened, and high-class plane travel suffered. Once full of CEOs and famous people, Concorde's seats started to gather dust. The airlines were losing money. British Airways and Air France said that Concorde would no longer be in service in 2003. It was too late for fans to ask them to change their minds. Some even offered to crowdfund tickets. It was the last time that 3 Concordes touched down in London, New York, and Paris on October 24th, 2003. A lot of people, some of them crying, stood in the streets to watch. The last trip on November 26th, 2003, took important people and crew from Heathrow to Bristol. Where did the planes go? They are mostly in museums. They're in New York, Seattle, Paris, and Scotland, among other places. They're clean and well kept, but they're quiet. People walk through the cabins, touching the small seats and picturing how loud the engines are. There are a few rusty Concordes parked near airports. It's a strange end for a machine that used to rule the sky. But Concorde left behind more than just metal and engines. It showed that people could move faster than sound. Before Concorde, scientists didn't think the human body could handle long-term flying faster than sound. The Concorde showed us that we could, and in style. Some of its design tricks, like the droop nose and delta wing, are still taught in engineering schools. Modern planes like the Airbus A380 and Boeing 787 use lightweight materials and good airflow that were inspired by Concorde. A new group of businesses is now looking for Concorde. Boom Supersonic, a new company in the US, is making a plane called Overture. It says it can fly at Mach 1.7, which is slower than Concorde's Mach 2, but it can take more people and use fuels that are better for the environment. 15 have already been bought by United Airlines. NASA is trying the X-59, an airplane that is meant to make a soft thump sound instead of a sonic boom. It might be possible to fly faster than sound over land again if it works. Little firms like Spike Aerospace are also working on business planes that go faster than sound. The loud boom is the problem that NASA is working on now. Concorde could only fly on ocean routes because it made such a loud noise, but NASA's X-59 experimental jet is trying a quiet sonic thump. With its thin shape, the X-59 bends the shock waves from breaking the sound barrier into a soft rumble that sounds like thunder in the distance. There could be new routes if it works, since countries might no longer ban supersonic flights over land. In 2024, test flights will be planned over U.S. cities, and people on the ground will tell what they hear. If you're successful, you might change the rules of flying. But problems are coming. It costs a lot of money to build a fast jet. Boom needs $8 billion just to start up tour. Engine makers aren't sure what to do. In 2023, Rolls-Royce dropped out of the project, leaving Boom to build its own engine, and bases might need to be fixed up even if the planes are built. Longer runways and special upkeep are needed for supersonic jets. Afterward, there's the setting. Some people say that even though new planes say they will use green fuels, going faster still uses more energy and undoes progress made on climate change. Companies say that better routes and synthetic fuels could even things out, but it's a fine line to walk. The race to bring back travel faster than sound is full of turns. There are still companies moving forward, like Boom Supersonic, but the road isn't smooth. Rolls-Royce, a key partner for Boom's Overture jet, quit the project all of a sudden in 2023. Boom had to quickly create its own engines, which was a big job that could put off the plane's debut. At the same time, test runs for NASA's X-59 quiet supersonic jet are getting closer. Its needle-like form is being changed by engineers to turn loud booms into soft thuds. If it works, it might be able to get countries to stop blocking supersonic flights over land, which Concorde never managed to do. NASA agrees, though, that it will take years to change the rule. Money is still a huge problem. Investing is risky because it takes billions of dollars to build a supersonic jet. Boeing helped start up Arion, but it went out of business in 2021 because it ran out of money. Some, such as Exosonic, are focused on making smaller business jets for private clients, the dream that everyone could afford to move faster than sound. It's just a dream. Getting on Boom's Overture will probably cost a lot of money, so most tourists won't be able to do it. The climate is also dangerous. Modern plans to go faster than sound say they will use green energy made from plants or old carbon. But people who are against it say that moving faster uses more energy and cancels out any environmental benefits. Additionally, it is still hard to make a lot of these fuels. Some experts are worried that even a small group of supersonic jets could hurt the ozone layer again, just like Concorde did. People who make engines say that new ones are better and smarter, but the argument goes on and on. The pandemic effect is another thing. After COVID-19, it took a long time for things to get better. Business travelers, who are mostly on supersonic planes, now depend on Zoom meetings. Does a company still need to buy expensive fast tickets if virtual calls are cheaper? Startups say that people want to travel, especially on lines like New York to London or Tokyo to Sydney. But CEOs, who like to save money, won't be easy to persuade. There is still hope, despite the problems. As new materials come out, they make planes stronger and lighter. AI helps engineers make forms that are better at cutting through air. The US government is even helping by giving money to study how to make sonic booms less loud, and people are still interested in speed. Fans went crazy when a copy of the Concorde showed up in the 2022 movie Top Gun. This shows that people still want to break new ground. The truth is that bringing back supersonic flight is like putting together a huge puzzle. Everything has to fit just right: money, technology, the environment, and the government. The memory of Concorde is a mix of inspiration and care. What it taught us was that the sky isn't the limit, but also that big plans can fail very quickly. One thing is for sure: the ghost of Concorde is watching as new jets are built in hangars and on computers. Its replacements must be faster, quieter, and better for the environment, or they risk being forgotten like the first one. The next 10 years will be very important. By the 2030s, sleek new jets might be able to fly across seas at Mach 1.7, or more startups could fail because their dreams aren't based on reality. However, the investors are worried after Arion, another supersonic startup, went bankrupt in 2021. To stay alive, companies are teaming up. Boom works with Northrop Grumman on military projects, hoping that money from defense contracts will fund their civilian dreams. Others, like Spike Aerospace, are going after billionaires with private supersonic jets. A seat on their jet might cost $8 billion to finish Overture, their passenger jet. Investors are worried after Arion, another supersonic startup, went bankrupt in 2021. To stay alive, companies are teaming up. Boom works with Northrop Grumman on military projects, hoping that money from defense contracts will fund their civilian dreams. Others, like Spike Aerospace, are going after billionaires with private supersonic jets. A seat on their jet might cost $10 million, but at least it's faster than begging investors for money. The world is like another battleground. New jets say they will use fuels that are better for the environment, but it's hard to make enough of these fuels. Airlines like United want to fly faster than sound, but green fuel only makes up a small part of plane fuel right now. Some people say that even clean, fast jets will use more power than regular planes. Scientists also say that water vapor from jets in the air could trap heat in the atmosphere and make climate change worse. Businesses just shrug and say, "We'll fix it later." but time is running out. Then there's the after effects of the pandemic. Business travel, which is what keeps supersonic flights going, hasn't fully returned yet. With Zoom, there's no need to fly to Paris for a meeting. Startups say that not only CEOs need speed, but also doctors, diplomats, and people who help people in disasters. Imagine having to get a heart transplant quickly from New York to London in just 3 hours. That's the pitch. Do you think Concorde or something like Concorde would ever return? Share your views in the comment section below. If you want us to cover any particular topic, leave it in the comment section and we will take it from there. Till then, you can check out our already existing gem of the videos. If you enjoyed watching the video, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. See you soon in another video.